Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. It is our Sunday broadcast, and today we are having our discussion about day jobs versus the dream jobs. How do you balance the two, especially when you're a creative trying to make your living doing your creative life? So today we've got a wonderful panel. I'm about to introduce them to you. All of these are people who are finding a way to manage that day job and dream job as a reality. And so to begin, returning to our panel is Mr. Dean Ethington. Dean, would you mind telling everybody about yourself?
Hey there, guys. Yeah, I'm a web designer and graphic designer. I've done both my dream job and the day job, so I think I have a lot to contribute to this one.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir. And an associate of mine from our days in Teatro Martini, another working actor in the La La Land that is Hollywood, Tony Robinette. Please, Tony, tell people about yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tony Robinette. Like Curtis says, one of my many day jobs, and I say many, is dinner theater. And I also do some consulting from time to time. And I'm a vacation planner.
Fantastic. And then brand new to our panel and brand new to me, Miss Ann Michael. Ann Michael, please tell everybody about yourself.
Hi, everybody. I am an actress here in Los Angeles and anywhere you will send me. Also, that's the dream job. And then for my day job, I actually teach early language classes with a focus on American Sign Language. So I spend my days working with individual clients, which is kind of a contract basis. Both jobs are a contract basis. So an interesting viewpoint, hopefully.
Well, and that's something that I think all of us have anecdotally probably run into is the freelance creative. I know that definitely exists in the graphic designer world, and Lord knows at every one of my acting jobs, whether it be a union television gig or doing the theater over in the Buena Park, everybody's got like 4 different contract jobs that they're doing to make sure that they keep the lights on. Mm-hmm. So to begin with, I'd just kind of like to talk about when did you start trying to attempt your dream job, and what got you into whatever creative art you got yourself into? And I don't care who starts.
Well, all right, I'll start. So I didn't start out being a little Dean thinking I want to be a graphic designer when I grow up. I fell in love with art, and I pursued art for a long time, and then eventually I got to a point where I wanted a paycheck, and it was, how do I leverage my creativity into something that was more like a day job? Because the idea of going out there and selling myself as an artist wasn't really an attractive option for me in my early 20s. And so I discovered graphic design, and I thought, this is great. This is being creative with a purpose, and someone's going to pay me for that. So that's where I ended up with kind of a day job doing design work. So I think I don't know, what was the question?
Oh, really? You answered it.
Okay.
You answered it. There wasn't much else left to that. Tony, you were about to say something.
I started off I've lived in Orlando, so we were the theme park capital of the world, basically. So I started off at a really young age, like at 16, performing, doing parades, doing fuzzy stuff working for theme parks. And in Orlando, you can easily become big fish in a small pond. So performing was my day job. And when I came here, it was a little bit of an eye-opener, because it was like, okay, everybody wants a performing day job, but sometimes it doesn't happen. So I'm the king of the side hustle, in my opinion. I have like 5 balls in the air at all times. So.
Well, you really have to be able to be a working actor in Los Angeles. And I think one of the big values of having this conversation at all is the fact that, especially for our working class actor friends in LA, the industry has changed so dramatically from what it used to be. Back when I started in the mid to late 80s,
Gotcha.
you know, admittedly, I was a kid. Things were a little bit easier when you're younger. But I was able to work as a professional actor until 2005, 2006. And it wasn't until the you know, the change in media started to really hit that all of a sudden there were I mean, there's always been more actors than there are jobs, but now the number of jobs is so much smaller, even with the rise of golden television. And the number of people competing for those jobs is enormous. And now you're competing against the people that used to star in films, that used to be series regulars that are now doing guest stars. The environment in Los Angeles has changed so dramatically that the idea of being a professional actor without some kind of side hustle, whether that be a regular old 9-to-5er or just you know, voiceover gigs that you're booking yourself or your web series that you're doing or finding something, is nearly impossible. And I'm totally skipping ahead. And Michael, how did all this start for you?
Similarly, I suppose I actually, because family was kind of like, we want you to focus on like a plan B kind of thing. I fell in love with the sign language stuff, and then decided to leave that to lean into the industry. But I was in the Southeast, and so a couple SAG nationals and low costs of living, you're fine. I mean, you don't really have to, you know, you can kind of keep going there. It's sustainable. And then once here to Los Angeles, it was like, okay, let's look for something else to do. I really liked what Dean said, like finding something that had a purpose, that felt like I had like not just obviously with acting a creative outlet, but then with my side job, something that feels a little bit less rote has been really fulfilling, I think. And a reminder of like, we're not just all cogs in a machine, and that there's life and families and things happening outside of whatever main hustle. There's like side hustle and main hustle, right? So whatever that main hustle thing is, that hopefully gives breath to life. That I don't know. I'd be interested to hear if that was fulfilling, the purpose you found in that that development that you were doing, Dean, and all of you guys.
Almost definitely.
That's how I wound up here.
Yeah. Getting into that, it really made it clear that we're not talking about a dream job. We're talking about money versus passion. How much do you want to sacrifice to follow something you love? Because I don't think any job, anything that you do in life it's a gradient, but there's a line where it gets so low that your passion, your interest for that job becomes so low that you're essentially a slave. And you don't want to even come close to that line. So I think finding something that can maximize the enjoyment of the time that you're spending, the time that you're trading your time and your talent for money. So it's just all about maximizing that enjoyment.
So, Dean, you actually have a unique take on this, especially with 3 other actors on the panel, because your choice of creative outlet being the fine arts, is that an appropriate way to classify that?
Sure. Yeah.
Does have a readily accepted market value in that labels need to exist on things so people can identify them. Advertisements that are print require some kind of design, right? There is a definitive kind of openly accepted value placed on your work. And I hope I'm not speaking for all 3 of us, although I'm going to right now anyway. Just yell at me if I'm wrong. I don't know that the ephemera that is acting always has that kind of value intrinsically given to it. I feel like sometimes the actor is considered the most flim-flam of the arts, because what we do is we help, manipulate emotions to bring about an emotional response that is relatable to an audience. And so I find that when I end up having to pick a day job, it's not so much acting that ends up being the skill that gets me in. It's the side skills that go along with all of the acting that I've done that end up being moved into the jobs that I take. For example, the day job that I have right now is marketing consulting for a company called Marketing Pro. And what I do is I teach financial professionals how to market themselves and help them design things like that. And the skills that I utilize for that end up being a lot of the skills that I learned when I was producing for a long time, because it's the same kind of thing. It's just, we're selling a movie. It's just, instead of a movie, it's 401ks and IRAs. Do you guys find, and this one is particularly to Ann Michael and Tony, do you find that you're utilizing side skills in this day job hunt? Or did you have to cultivate entirely new skills for the things that are paying the bills?
I think I'm using and finding the skills for a day job. But again, luckily, right now, a lot of my day job stuff is performing. Like, for instance, I perform at Teatro, which is like a burlesque dinner theater, but it's still performing. I perform at Universal, so it's not a, it's not a traditional day job. And then the other day jobs that I have go into the industry. Like, one of the things I do is, and I enjoy doing, is I write resumes for people, and I write cover letters for people, and I try to basically do PR work. In a nutshell, it's PR work, social media, networking, and all that fun stuff. And it's something I like. So I've learned that the passion that I love, other than acting, is the business. And so that's where I'm trying to lead my day jobs into. At the end of the day, if I need money, I'll go do anything to make money, but it'll be disposable.
That is a huge comment. Yeah. The disposable day job. We will get back to that.
I've always been really good at that. I remember the days when we first started getting together, and that's what we would do. We were kind of like, let's write our stuff together. And it was always, oh, am I talking over someone?
No.
Okay. There's like a weird delay or something. But so it's really cool that you're able to use that skill set, because I think you've always had it. It's always been a muscle that that was strong, and I think has just gotten even stronger as you moved markets. For me, obviously, sign was a skill I had that feeds into both part-time and acting. I mean, it's visual storytelling without, just without sound. So that's not something I had to find, thankfully, but sort of found me. But I like that you're able to use both of those, a skill that you already had, and then also obviously performing. You've always kind of done that, so that's cool.
On balance, back in the day, I think there are probably several people who could point to me and be like, that's the jerk who said you're either doing it or you're not doing it. I was a big quit your day job. Why would you even have one? There's no such thing as a backup plan. Just go out there and do it. And that was extremely easy for me to say, because at the time I was doing it and couldn't understand why anybody else couldn't. Obviously, my opinions on that have evolved over the years, because it is such a difficult career to be able to get yourself entrenched in. But I know that no matter what, if I am offered a job on a TV show or a film or something, I am going to take it at the expense of any other job. Now, I know that it's kind of extreme, but how do you guys balance where you're at between day job and actually booking the dream job? And Dean, for you in particular, like, how does that work? How do you manifest the dream now, even though there's a paycheck that goes along with essentially doing your art?
So There's a lot of managing expectations. And I think that's an evolving process. What do you want to do? And my expectations got lowered because I just wanted to create. I really looked into why I was doing what I was doing. Where do I get my most joy? And I found that just the act of creation. Now, sure, doing graphic design for other people or web design for other people, you have to find that the love in that to not, go crazy. But I think there's other time. There's the idea of hobbies, being able to explore. I do an art meetup, so once a month I get a bunch of people over and we create a bunch of art together, and that's exercising those muscles in and satisfying and making my life enjoyable. So yeah, it's tough. It's a tough thing, but I think I've been managing to do it pretty well.
I don't think I'd argue that with you, but I know you, so that's just a little bit of bias. Tony, what about you, man?
Okay, so first of all, I'm you like when you were 10 years ago. So I have not yet evolved and going. I do have that opinion of fucking make it work. I can't. I'm sorry if I curse, but
That's all right. That is not unallowed. Yeah.
I have that attitude of make it work, and my balance is very much like these are my priorities is to work in the industry. And again, I think we're lucky enough that we've sort of paved our own way to make some money, whether it's working on your own or working for a business that has a really flexible call-out schedule or anything like that. My priority is the industry, and I will be the first person to go, oh, I have an audition. I will try to make it work. And if it doesn't work, then I'll call out sick from my day job. Or, and that's usually worst case scenario, because you usually don't have to go there, especially if you're surrounding yourself around really awesome coworkers who will help you, because it is a you scratch my back, I scratch your back mentality, even in the day job market, whether you're a server in LA and in the industry, or if you work for a dog kennel and you're in the industry, or you're an office worker. Hey, can you cover me while I go to an audition? As long as you're good to people, nobody's going to say no, because chances are they're going to need that later on. But my balance is I'm on the side of make it work, go to the audition. Everyone needs a day job. You keep your pockets aligned however way you need to. So I am Curtis Anderson before the evolution.
And Michael, you provide a very important service to the people that you're working with. Is there conflict that arises between I've got to go do this thing versus I've scheduled with this family to be able to work on things? How does that go?
Knock on wood, I have really lucked out in that department in that I just have some really wonderful people. But ironically, it works similarly to what Tony was saying, which is I work with young families whose schedule is affected by doctors and colds and nap schedules changing. And so I've really found that when I offer the same kind of flexibility to them, they return it. So for me, when I originally started doing this, I just went in saying, look, this is what I decide, my dream, and the reason I'm here is for acting. And so that will come first. I will do everything in my power to fulfill my end of the bargain and go above and beyond, which I think we all try to do across the board. But yeah, I've kind of lucked out both in the nature of working with small ones and in the fact that it also just doesn't, it's because they're both contractual, there's not really so much consistency that like 8 to 5 every day I'm here. And so if I get an audition at 11 on any of the days of the week, I know I'm in trouble. It seems like, you know, sometimes it's an audition in the afternoon and my class is in the morning. So a lot of times it just works. Knock on wood, knock on wood, knock on wood.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. That's one of the things about being a performer. I know this all sounds extraordinarily Los Angeles centric, but in the end, I do think that this can be applied just about anywhere else in the country. I know we've got some friends in New York who have mentioned the same things that we're talking about here. I do wonder what it's like for the performer in like Ohio or Oklahoma or even Louisiana. I mean, with the changing ways things are working there, but I got to imagine that maybe the flexible 9 to 5 is not as easy to find. I know I lucked out quite a bit with what I'm allowed to do. But if you are in the LA or New York area, then there is kind of an expectation that if you are a performer, you will try to find yourself the most flexible job that you can. And correct me if I'm wrong, but server does not seem to be that position anymore. Am I right?
No.
Yeah. Right.
The great thing nowadays is if you have a decent car, you can go do Uber and make money. You can go do Lyft and make money. You can be on your own schedule. It sounds like I'm doing a commercial for the side hustle, but the side hustle like Postmates, Uber, WAG, all of that stuff, you are your own boss. And again, these are like the, oh my goodness, I need money jobs. And it's not really an amazing professional skill, but you're providing a service and it's flexible. Because we've all been there where we have had that audition or that deadline project that comes in at 7 o'clock at night and says, hey, you have to be somewhere at 10:30 in the morning and you need to make decisions now. And we all have unforgiving agents and managers who are like, hey, if your decision is not the right decision, maybe we're not a team anymore. And it's just, you know, part of you does want to say, well, F off. But at the same time, that's the industry. So you just got to put your priorities in check sometimes. And it sucks. It sucks adulting.
You're not wrong. Well, and there are so many avenues now for the young entertainment or creative professional to be able to monetize the art that they want to do, or even just side skills that they have. Fiverr is another one that comes to mind. I know that, Tony, you and I have a friend, he was able to make a significant amount of side cash just doing $5 voiceover jobs.
Yep.
You know, and that worked out really well for him. Dean, have you ever done any kind of side freelance kind of thing?
Oh yeah, the idea of that $5 voiceover, you start out with doing whatever you can to make money doing what you want to do. So I up until recently never turned down any freelance jobs, because first, the experience of working with someone, working with a new client, the challenges that go along with that is worth, you know, getting paid almost nothing. And also I took a lot of pro bono jobs just to get into the industry and like make new contacts and again have stuff for cool stuff for a portfolio. So yeah, it's kind of you just do it until it works or it doesn't, right?
Well, and that last video game that you were just doing designs on, was that actually a side gig, or was that a freelance kind of thing?
But yeah, this is becoming a, what do you call it? Just like a second job, I guess, is what it is. An art director and art producer for a video game company called Xenomorph, and we're right now in the middle of producing all the art and animation for it, and it's taken up a lot of my time. I've actually had to not take some other side gigs just because it's like a full-time job on top of my other full-time job.
Very nice. Well, that's almost kind of that's actually really nice. I didn't realize that had gotten as big as it had. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh, I feel like oh man. Well, this is not the first time in live history that somebody's had a brain fart, but it's definitely the first time that I'm putting it here on the channel. Does anybody else want to add to that particular topic we were just talking about?
I feel like whoa, I just had the same thing happen.
Right? Right?
Oh, I love the place when you get to, and you said up until now I haven't turned down any freelance work, and I think it's almost I think a milestone in one's career when you're able to say like no, right? I think that's a powerful
Definitely
position, whether it's no to a certain size of a role or no to a job because it's just not the right parameters, whether it's it's too much for too little time or whatever. But it's nice to be able to say no, and I think it's an important skill. And to that point, managing the downtime, I think, is another challenge when you do say no, and then that next project ends and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I had to say no, and now I have this spot that's opened up, and trying to juggle that, I think, is another skill. That do you guys find that managing the downtime something that you've improved over the years, or don't struggle with at all? Or
I reinvent the wheel. You know me and Michael and I go way back. But when I have downtime, it can be the best thing and it can be the worst thing, because I will also try to reinvent the wheel. I'll be like, oh, are my marketing materials not working? And then at the end of the day, they are, because I'm going out. And then it's like, okay, how do I scramble and make some new clients in my side hustle? And so I try to do office work in my downtime. And I know I'm jumping around, but what we were talking about is it seems like we all know our value as the side hustle in our day jobs. And one thing I've struggled with, especially here, is people not respecting the value of us as actors. Or as creatives, because it's one of those things where it's like, you've heard it before, you don't expect a doctor or a plumber to work for free. But there is that expectation here. And so I think as professionals, if we just align ourselves to go, hey, no, this is what my value is. Again, what Ann Michael was saying, that power of no. Mm-hmm. And knowing your worth is really important.
I can't agree more. Yeah, knowing your value is instrumental.
And it's on both sides. It's on the day job side and it's on the dream job side. Because there's so many people here. I can talk to any of my photographer friends, and I've seen it happen where it's like a photographer says, oh, I do headshots for $300 and they're really good. And then another photographer, hey, I do photography for $100 and it's just as good. And then another photographer says, I'll do it for free. And it's just like, okay, well, that doesn't help. And so that's what I mean by surrounding yourself around people who are not going to beat you up to compete,
That can be a hard thing to try and balance around, because it especially in the Los Angeles arena, competition is extraordinarily heavy at every level, in every status, in every single job. Because for every single job that you lose, there are 400 people exactly like you that are ready to take that position. Like shark's teeth, they just come right back in. There's no downtime. And in New York and Los Angeles, there are 1,000 people getting off a bus every day who are ready to do the exact same thing.
I'm going to use you as an example. I mean, a few weeks ago, Curtis and I were literally up for the same role.
It's true.
On a TV show. But we were happy for each other. And it was more of a reunion. And it wasn't, was there competitiveness there? Of course. It's the industry. Of course, I wanted to get it, but if I didn't get it, I want Curtis to get it. And probably Curtis was saying, I want to get it, but if I didn't get it, I want a friend to get it.
Oh, yeah. You always want your buddy to get the job if you can't get the job, because it's you don't want it to go to the other guy. because that's the other guy. I definitely want Tony working if I can't work.
Second string, it's okay.
It's exactly. Yeah. Actually, there's a quote in my favorite actor's book, and you will find it inside the description. You will find it on the blog. You will find it in my Actor 101. It's the Hollywood Survival Guide for Actors by Kim Jackson, and it has a wonderful quote in it that says, "The actor should strive to not work for free." And I am misquoting it right now. I'm 100% paraphrasing. But in it, she has a story about a guy who's like, I don't work for free. And for friends, he'll be like, at least give me $1. Just let me say I didn't do this job for free. And I think that's a really valuable thing, because when it is so difficult sometimes for the performer, especially because we're a sensitive breed, you know, and the artist in general, it's the stereotype, right? And it's so difficult for us to be like, I want to get paid to do this, but then asking to get paid for it is such a mind mess. Nobody wants to be like, hey, can I get my money now? Anybody want to get paid? It's why you've got managers and agents to be able to be the dick for you, to be able to ask for that check. But if you start early, being able to say, just give me the $1. I just need to get paid for the work. And if we can agree to a fair price and you start training your brain for that early, then it gets real easy to be like, you know, I should get paid for this. You know, I should. Now, obviously, don't go the full other direction, become a complete dick about it and be like, I'm getting paid. Woo! Because you don't want to do that. I mean, I like to think that we should all strive for fair and you know, as long as nobody gets greedy, fair can be a very, very easy and good thing. But if you are a performer, I personally subscribe to the try as hard as you can to not work for free.
I'm going to say that on the design front as well, there's a lot of people that will do that. And it's back to understanding your value. It's there's people out there that will do design work for free, or there's these websites now that will do, you want a logo, $5, and everyone's bidding against that, right? And you get to pick, you know, from a bunch of people that designed a logo for $5. And I think understanding that when I charge something way more than $5 to design your logo, you're getting a higher quality product. And I think that idea of understanding where you are in that scale, if I don't have a lot of experience and I'm designing your logo, perhaps I will only charge you $5, $10, $15 for it. But as I gain experience, I bring something else to the table. I'm sure acting's kind of the same way, where in the beginning, you have no acting experience and you will jump on anything that you possibly can to be on film. I don't know. I don't know if that's
like student films, smaller shorts, things like that. I mean, yeah, we've all done it, and some of us have produced some of those things. So yeah, but once you have the experience, and there is again, going back to know your value. What value are you actually adding to things? You know, Meryl Streep has a great deal of value that she adds to any project, no matter what it is. If she shows up in a Power Rangers movie, it could be crap, but it's okay because, you know, she's going to bring a certain cachet that goes along with that. Maybe that was a terrible example. I apologize. But but when you get to know, if you have, this is tricky because the idealist in my head wants to say, know your value, you are important, you are talented, and you are good. But that takes for granted dramatically the fact that you actually are talented, that you are going to do good work, and that you will provide some sort of value to a project. And the unfortunate reality is that there is more than 50% of people trying to make a living performing in either Hollywood or New York who probably should not be there or are not ready for prime time yet, in a literal sense. So, and how do you, like, my goal with all of these things is to try and encourage people to live their dreams, follow that job, go for that goal.
Yeah.
But I want to say very, very straight and very direct, please know your ability level before you decide to try and do something like this. And
Yes.
if you can legitimately look at yourself and say, I'm not there yet, that is not a reason to quit. It is a reason to train.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree with that, guys?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yes, 100%.
Although I mean, maybe this is a topic for another show, but the when to quit, I think, is a very important topic to understand.
That's a great topic.
I apologize.
Yeah.
Renee was actually just suggesting that people aren't always the best judge of themselves, and it might be a good idea to ask someone that you trust who will be honest with you to be able to help gauge that situation. So I'm tossing that out there. And Dean, because of that, I missed what you said. Could you repeat it for me?
Oh, I was just talking about the topic of when to fail or when to quit as opposed to when to continue.
It's so funny that you mentioned that, Dean, because after next week's feature discussion, we will be talking about when to fail or accepting failure as our next major, as our next discussion after our feature discussion next week. So yeah, good work.
I'm glad you took my suggestion from 30 seconds ago.
We work quickly here. We work quickly here. Now, one of the other goals of this conversation today is to help provide ideas for people about how they might be able to transition from the survival job into the dream job. I've been there. Tony, you've been there. And Michael, it sounds like you've been there. Dean, I know you've been doing it. What suggestions do you have to help people crest that hump from working the survival job more than they're working the dream job?
I mean, monetarily, again, I say, I know it sounds like a endless commercial, but there's so many side hustles that you could do. You know, if you want to transition, I know it's not as easy as going, oh, I'm only going to work 30 hours instead of 40. And working more towards other stuff that will free up your schedule. I also believe in paying yourself first. And there are sacrifices, and maybe having an office day. So, you know, if you put value on every hour that you work, granted that's not money coming in, but if you work 40 hours, I'm having a brain fart now too.
Let me see if I can clarify this based on what you're saying. If you were to reduce the amount of time that you were spending on someone else and putting value on yourself, you may not be getting paid for that office day that you take for yourself, but you are investing in yourself to be able to move over to the dream job. Does that sound right?
Yes. And I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy for a lot of people because we do have financial commitments. Our landlord doesn't believe in our day job or our daydream as much as we do. So I get that it's difficult, but I think investing in yourself and working for yourself sometimes is more important than working for the man.
Agreed. Yeah.
And I know it's hard. Again, I'm not taking away the challenge of it at all.
Okay. Yeah, I think understanding the passion and why you have your passion is critical. It's why are you doing this and how are you going to go about it? I think is I don't know. I'm having a brain fart. It's contagious.
I'm really sorry, guys. I didn't mean to bring it in. And Michael, what about you?
Yeah, I think know thy value. I mean, thyself. So know what's important to you. If your mind and well-being cannot handle not having a thing, or if you need something to break up the monotony, like I call it, Tony referred to like reinventing the wheel. I call it kind of spinning. And so sometimes I think there's a balance between knowing when you need to start saying no to some things, like jobs that maybe are draining or that aren't serving you, or where maybe you need to focus on clients or jobs that meet your needs more efficiently, and let go of some that maybe feed you creatively but not fiscally. And then there's times to do the opposite of those things. But you have to know yourself and know what is going to help you stay sane in the process, which I think is yeah, it's vital to literally, I think, to because you can't show up at either place if your mind's not working, and do your job well.
Excellent. I think the best advice that I can give is the only advice that I give, and that is to do more of your art. And if I'm focusing directly on actors, because that is what I'm used to working with, then I would tell you straight and direct right now through this camera into your face that you need to be creating your own content. You 100% need to be creating your own content, whether that is the one-person show about your life in the industry, whether that is a YouTube channel that features your sketches. Amy Schlerb, who was on the discussion last week, she is doing some fantastic work on her YouTube channel and really featuring herself as an actress and as a writer and as a comedian, all in one little place on her YouTube channel. You need to do your art. If you are a musical theater actor or actress, then you need to be singing, and you need to be doing it in front of people, and you just need to be doing it more. And whatever you can cut out of your life that will allow you more time to do that and still allow you to pay your rent and all of the associated bills that go along with that, then I say cut it.
Yeah, that's the priorities right there. And I think you have to, on top of that, give yourself permission to fail, because I think if you always play it safe, you're never going to discover something that could be vital to your future success.
Dean, that's in 2 weeks, sir.
Sure.
It's a teaser trailer.
Next time.
Here's the other thing. I mean,
I think too.
There's 168 hours in a week, and if you're working a 9 to 5, that only takes 40 hours. You have time. You can make time, even if it's 30 minutes a day, to invest in yourself and to. I'm a big subscriber of Bonnie Gillespie. For those who don't know who Bonnie Gillespie is, she's an awesome acting coach. Not an acting coach, like a business coach for actors. And she wrote an amazing book called Self-Management for Actors. And I check it out from the library, borrow a copy. You don't need to pay for it if you don't have the money. I guarantee you one of your actor friends has it. But she always talks about jumping tiers, and you have to put in the work for it. And again, even if it's 20, 30 minutes a day to put into your craft or put into your business and investing in yourself, I think it helps so much, and you will see small changes turn into bigger changes. And then all of a sudden you won't have that 40-hour job. You can survive off of 24 and put those other hours towards your dream job.
Totally. I think, completely agree with that. Get rid of a show that you're watching, or take that time away from something that's not as meaningful, and reprioritize, and wake up an hour early. If you want to write a book, perhaps write a page a day, and that might only take a couple minutes just to get into that groove. But our friend Jeff Garvin did that. He ended up wanting to become a writer so bad that he got up early every morning and wrote. So I think it's It's a, I don't know, a very important thing to do, to understand how much you want something and to do whatever you can to go get it.
Yeah.
And that's important. You have to want it. And I feel like, Michael, I feel like I keep cutting you off. I am putting you featured.
It's
You are
fine.
good. Yes.
Oh, no. Please, I prefer to hear what you say.
No worries. You have to want it. You have to. You have to really, really want it. It's never going to fall into your lap. If it does fall into your lap, it won't mean as much, and it will not last as long. It will burn out. It does happen. There are people who are still getting discovered at the soda counter at Schwab's. But it never works. It never lasts. It never has the staying power. You have to want it, and you have to put the work into it. You have to. Guys, before oh, yes, no, go ahead. Yes.
Which that goes into, I think, what you were saying earlier about generating or knowing your value when you're creating content, whether it's something you're showing someone else or not, whether it's, the actor version of working on a monologue a day or a scene a day, or, actually creating a project, a series, a one-woman YouTube, whatever, one-man YouTube show. Those things are generating value. There are followers, there's, viewership, and those things come with you when you go to any job that you want. And I think you also discover your own abilities, your own limitations, places you want to go, and that just will richen, I think, your artistic life, your creative life, as well as your professional life. And where those two, I think obviously the dream is when those two marry in a way that's fulfilling on both ends,
Absolutely.
And I think if you're not practicing that now, then why would you when you have the dream job, right?
Absolutely. All right. Well, guys, we have done a very solid 45, almost 50 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know, right? It goes by really fast. I hope that everyone who is watching today, and I've been enjoying watching these viewer numbers go up, I hope you've been enjoying it as well. Before we go, I would like to have you guys tell everybody where people can find you on the internet if they would like to see more about you. And Michael, you are our newest guest. I would like to have you go first, please.
Cool, thanks. I'm at Ann Michael S on Instagram and Twitter. That's the best place. Instagram more frequently, but at Ann Michael S.
And again, you will find that it'll be in the description. So yeah, people will be able to find you there as well. Yes. And then Tony, as our other new member to the panel, how can we find you, sir?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, at Tony Robinette, TonyRobinette. I know I spelled it, but it'll be in the description.
Well, and you never know. This might go podcast. Who knows? What? Dean?
Quick, someone spell mine.
That's Ann Michael, SANNEMICHELS on both Instagram and Twitter.
Thank you, Curtis.
You're very welcome. Dean, where can we find you, sir?
I am on the internets right there at design.com. I believe it's DAE Design at Twitter and on Facebook as well. The video game is at xenomurph.com, and I believe Xenomurph on Instagram as well. And that's XENOMURF.com.
There you go. As usual, you can find me at curtisanderson.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're already a subscriber, tell a friend to subscribe. We will be continuing to do our live discussions every Sunday, and next week is our August feature discussion on storytelling, featuring the likes of author Jeff Garvin, film director Zeke Pinero, television writer Jonathan Callan, and web series writer and musical songstress Aaron Stegman. That's going to be a big one next week, everybody, so make sure you plan for that. And thank you again, everyone, for being here. On the sides, if you are watching on YouTube, you are going to be able to see the subscribe link, a video link for things that may interest you, and also the Patreon link. As I've mentioned before, Renee and I are trying to do so much more. These live discussions are a huge part of that, but we have got sketches and different things in our heads that we're ready to do. So if you are so able, please check out the Patreon. As usual, everything is in the links down below in the description. I think I'm also going to put the actor's survival guide in there. And Tony, will you do me a favor and send me a message or a link for the book that you mentioned today?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Leave questions in the comments down below, and we will see you next week for our August featured discussion.
Yay!